Number one, if you're doing a 401k, you are going to get dividends, most likely, as long as you're picking a fund that has stocks in it, you're going to get dividends. So don't worry about that. Number two, whether you pick a 401k or an IRA, in this case, he talked about a Roth IRA. So if you're picking a Roth IRA, regardless of which IRA you pick, you're still getting tax advantages. The difference is that you have tax advantages now or you have tax advantages in the future. With a Roth, you pay the taxes now. So it's true you don't get a tax advantage now, but you get the advantage that all of your gains are never taxed. Whereas a regular 401k, you get the tax advantage now, but when you take out at the end, you're going to pay capital gains tax on those. So you can't evade the tax man with everything, unfortunately. You're going to have to pick your poison. And, you get into all sorts of discussions of like, well, what's my tax rate today? What's it going to be like when I retire? What are the tax rates for the country going to be when I retire? We could go on and on and on. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you what I did when I first started. Number one, if your company that you work for offers you a 401k match, take full advantage of that match 100%. Because if you put in $1 and the company gives you $1, that's a 100% return on your money. You're not going to get that in the stock market. I mean, you could get in the stock market, but it could also go away really quickly too. So if you want something that's reliable and safe, you can't go anywhere better than that. So do that first. What I did once I reached my match and I wanted to max out my Roth, and that was because I saw the value in to not have to deal with capital gains in the future, to not have to deal with, I was okay with paying the taxes now on my income in order to not pay capital gains tax in the future. And keep that in mind. If that makes sense for you, then you max out the IRA. Then after that, you can always go back after you've maxed out the IRA, you can go back and add some more to your 401k until you max that out too. And then finally, if you get to that point where you've maxed the 401k, you've maxed the IRA, then you can go into like a regular brokerage account and you'll have to pay taxes on that. So I get the wanting to pick stocks for yourself. Trust me, I'm all there. I'm all about the Roth IRA. But, when it comes to a match, you really can't beat a match. And then when it comes to the question between a 401k or a Roth, which one do I put more money towards? It really comes down to you and how you feel about when you want to pay taxes. What part of that is of most value to you? And that's kind of what it comes down to, I think.
What Andrew was saying is really kind of the whole crux of the idea is you either pay Uncle Sam now or you pay Uncle Sam later. The classic, I guess, advice or rule of thumb, the younger you are, the more financial advisors recommend starting with a Roth. So Eric mentioned that he was 24, 25. And so that would be kind of the classic time to start a Roth IRA to take advantage of that. A lot of people don't understand this too. With your 401k, you have the option of choosing a Roth as well as a traditional. So you could choose both. You could split the money if you want, or you could just choose a Roth with your IRA as well. Or I'm sorry, with your 401k. So you have a choice of choosing a Roth or traditional. Sorry, I'm mixing up all my metaphors today. So, but so you have other options. And as far as the questions about the tax rates now and in the future, none of us know what the future is going to hold. And I think you need to try to figure out what's going to work best for you now and worry about what's going to happen 30 or 40 years from now when 30 or 40 years happen, because we very well we all could be paying 90% tax rates, or we could all not be paying taxes at all. Who knows? And so I think trying to hedge your bets now versus then, especially when you're younger, like Eric is, you have so much time for all that money to accumulate with not having to worry about taxes 30 or 40 years from now, than going the other route and worrying about what the tax rate's going to be when you start to take your required minimum withdrawals when you reach retirement age, which could go up. Right now, I believe it's 65, but that could, they could raise that to 68 or 70 by the time Eric is ready to retire, which will have further implications on how much money you could possibly owe, what the tax rate may be for you when you retire. So there's lots of other things to consider. So, I guess I would go the route of the Roth, and that's what I chose to do as well. The financial advisor that I work with at Wells Fargo, that's what he recommended to me for both my 401k as well as my individual accounts, just because of the nature of what I was wanting to do. And as far as the choices that you have in the 401k, every company is going to be different. So Eric was mentioning that he didn't really have a lot of choices, and that can be typical. I know that when I was at Wells Fargo, I believe we had about, I think it was about 10 ETFs slash index funds to choose from. We also had some international funds to choose from. We had a few bond funds to choose from, and then we had target date funds to choose from. So we had a bit of choice, and all of our match was paid in Wells Fargo stock. So I got individual stock from that. So every company is going to be different, and you need to do your due diligence on that aspect of it. But like Andrew was saying, most of these funds are going to pay a dividend, so you're going to get the benefit of that dividend even in the 401k. So if you're really itching to get the dividends, but maybe you don't want to pick individual stocks, then a 401k would be a great option for you as well. But I wholeheartedly agree. And if you've heard me talk about anything over the last 4 years on the podcast, if you don't take that match, I'm going to come through this microphone and strangle you. That's 100% return. That's free money. You got to do it. If it's 3% or if it's 6%, like it was at Wells Fargo, you got to take advantage of that. That's free money that you're not taking advantage of. And why are you listening to this show if you're not going to take 100% return? I mean, seriously, absolutely, please do that for yourselves, because you will thank yourself in 20 or 30 years. Yeah, great question, Eric. Thank you for writing that in. So, Andrew, do you have anything else you'd like to tag on?
So you're saying investors should not take their match and invest in Tesla stock or GameStop or AMC,
AMC, Robinhood, yeah, all those things.
Robinhood.
Yeah, yep.
No.
Nope.